So welcome back, and let's do some politics now. The NPP is heading into its special delegate congress this weekend to prune the number of flag bearer aspirants from 10 to 5. Now, ahead of that, we take a look at the aspirant and assess what they uniquely bring to the fore. We're asking who would make the top 5. So go on to Facebook and let us know which of the 10 will make the first 5 for you. So who will make the list on your 5? Our guest this morning is Evans Nimako. He is Director of Research and Elections for the NPP. He will be with us. Evans, good morning to you. Trust you're well. Kindly unmute so we can hear what you're telling us.
Hello.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yes, thank you, my brother, for having me, and good morning to you and viewers across the world.
Grateful that you found time to join us here. Also, will be joining us is political scientist Kwame Asante. He is a political scientist with the University of Ghana. He's director of the Center for European Studies at the same institution. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Nimako. If you look at the 10 candidates, I'm sure you've done your research and you know what each of them brings to the table. So what does each of them represent?
Thank you for having me once again. I think as a party, there's a mandate emanate from our constitution that says that the party will have to select for itself a presidential candidate. And where after the vetting, there are more than 5 of them, the party will then have to conduct what we call special electoral college, so that the general election will have no more than 5 in a contest. So after the party put together the elections committee, which was chaired by Professor Aaron Michael Quay, all the 10 prospective presidential aspirants were vetted. The report was accepted by the National Council that gives them the mandate to campaign across the party's rank and file to seek their mandates. And so afterwards, the party has put together what we call the Presidential Elections Committee, which again is chaired by Professor Aaron Michael Quay, and supported by other senior party members. And their work is simple: to ensure that there's a conduct of this process with the support from the Electoral Commission and Ghana Police Service, with the engagement of all the prospective candidates to have a free, fair, transparent presidential primaries conducted. And I think the party is on course. What I would say that as a party, for those who have the boldness, the confidence to put forth their strength, their energy, resources to drive the party's campaign towards election 2024, we acknowledge all of them. It is that reason that the National Council said that they approved the report of the vetting committee. And so they are all in there. The party is of strong conviction that any of them who emerges as the presidential candidate will be sold across the length and breadth of Ghana, and that person will become the next president in January 7, 2025.
Oh, you have confidence that the person will, huh?
It is not in doubt at all. The New Patriotic Party has numbers across all the 275 constituencies, from Adansia Sokwa to Zebila, Elembele, Ebuaka South, and you can name it. The New Patriotic Party, I can tell you, is confident that come December 7, 2024, majority of the voters on the ballot will once again vote for the New Patriotic Party. I mean, for you and maybe other colleagues, you've seen elections 2012, 2016, 2020, and we know our opponents. Nothing good will come out of them. I can assure you, the New Patriotic Party is supporting this government with all the necessary support for the government to provide the necessary leadership and drive Ghana's development out of this difficulty the whole world finds itself. And I can assure you that by the time we get to December 7th, you will be here and you see what the good people of Ghana will do to the New Patriotic Party. Massive endorsements.
You had an even bigger, conviction that you are going to win the 2008 election because of the stellar performance of the then President John Ajay Kufuor, but you lost it to the NDC. Professor Atamils won that election. And when the economy is in such a turmoil, you still have similar conviction that you will win. I mean, if you listen around, the thought of the general populace doesn't seem to sync with what you're telling us now.
Okay, so I disagree with you. And let me start. In 2008, and let me make the point that no two elections are the same.
Okay.
And if you look at the 2008 elections, the New Patriotic Party won the first round with over 102,000 votes. Except that we couldn't meet the constitutional threshold. And so that was 2008. We learned our lessons. And then we got to 2012. You saw what happened in 2012 to the extent that when the party petitioned, we saw life and colored the proceedings at courts and all that came out of it. So the New Patriotic Party was so certain and sure that the 2012 elections, we won it. But whatever happened is history now. We got into 2016 and massive endorsements. 2020, the good people of Ghana said, yes, we will still endorse Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We will split parliament. We will give half to NDC and half to the New Patriotic Party. And we've all seen the performance and the posture and scope of the current parliament. And I think that for every stage, each stakeholder is learning from the challenges that confront us. And so for us, we are very certain that even though there's a general difficulty that across the world and Ghana is not out of it, going into the next elections in December 2024, the story will be different.
Now, some of your party executives, I mean, the national organizer, the former organizer, Samia Oku, they've all said that it will be very, very difficult for the party to win. Samia Oku, for example, says NPP has to work twice as hard to win the 2024 elections. You agree with him or you disagree?
I don't disagree with him. No election has been won on a silver platter. And no competition. You won't go into any competition and win without hard work. And so, yes, we will brace ourselves with the difficulties around it. And I'm saying that winning elections requires some strategies. And the New Patriotic Party is ready to put on the table. We are going to go through all the 38,622 polling stations. We are going to go through all the 6,272 electoral areas. We are going to go through all the 275 constituencies. And I can assure you, the New Patriotic Party will pull the numbers. And by the time you collate the results, you will be our witness. That majority of Ghanaians will once again endorse the New Patriotic Party. Yes, so yes, the former organizer, Mr. Samia Oku, has said that we need to work harder and harder, twice the effort we've put in previous elections. That's why I said no two elections are the same. We are not going to just sit in our rooms and expect that people will cast their vote for us. Whoever the party is elected as the presidential candidate will be sold across all villages, all constituencies, room to room, voter by voter, will preach our message, and we are confident that we will get the numbers to constitute the next government in 2025.
What qualities should the flag bearer of the party going into such a very hard election 2024 have in order to help you amass the vote that would make you form the next government?
The 10 presidential aspirants of the party who went through the party's rules and regulations put together by the National Council at the vetting meet all the constitutional requirements by the 1992 Constitution, that for you to be a president of Ghana, you must be about 40 years, you must meet these constitutional thresholds, you must be of sound mind, you must ensure leadership, exhibit it in all your actions and inactions. And we've seen these gentlemen across Ghana's political landscape. We've known them, and we are so confident that the kind of leadership that Ghana would need to drive us to the next step, they have them. And so we will first conduct our internal elections and select them. And people with integrity, people with leadership acumen, and you can name it across the first candidate to the 10th, that the New Patriotic Party is ready to bring on board somebody who would lead the developmental drive. The other issue that confronts the whole of the world, as I've said earlier, Ghana is not out of it. And so you need the person who put together the united front and build a team that will help Ghana come out of its challenges. And that is what the New Patriotic Party is up to.
The main opposition party, the NDC, has a former president, John Dramani Mahama, who seemed to be gaining, more ground if you listen to the generality of the people out there, because of what's happening to the economy. And on top of that, the EIU is also predicting that the NDC is likely to win both presidential and parliamentary elections at the 2024 polls. Now, it says, and quote, our baseline forecast is that the economic hardships, the fallout from the debt restructuring, and poor governance will create an anti-incumbency wave and push the electorate to seek change. The NDC therefore stands a strong chance of winning the 2024 presidential poll and securing a legislative majority, unquote. So the EU is saying this. The NDC has John Mahama as their presidential candidate. How then do you intend, what kind of qualities are you looking at to be able to match John Mahama and to eventually win the election?
Thank you. Research reports are for me an advice, and it's a word to a wise is enough. Before the NDC went into their internal elections, EIU had come out with their baseline report. They have said that it is the NDC may win the 2024 elections, but they'll have to change their presidential candidates. We've known Mr. Mahama. We contested him in 2012, 2016, and 2020. And in order, the New Patriotic Party is confident that these are elections he lost. He's not coming with any new policy, and name it, if the NDC under Mr. John Mahama has been able to give to Ghana any policy that would drive Ghana's developmental agenda. Yes, I appreciate the challenge that the world is going through, same as Ghana, and I've said that, I've been candid to say that we are not out of the challenges that the world is going through. The internal challenges we've had have had to do with economic issues. And so the elections ahead of us is going to be in December 2024. When the New Patriotic Party took over in 2016, it wasn't rosy. It wasn't smooth. The party put together the team, the government worked very hard, and we saw Ghana's economy becoming the fastest growing economy in West Africa and even in Africa.
Okay.
I can assure you that the challenges that we are going through will soon be a thing of the past. And nobody is going to build Ghana for us but ourselves. But for NDC, Well, they can consume the EIU report, tickle themselves and laugh. The new Patriotic Party is not going to rest. We are going to work very hard. We will support the government to come out with programs that will take us out of the challenges that we are going through. I don't think anybody is happy that we will have a situation where the economy is going through these difficulties. But largely, if anybody will be candid to himself or herself, it hasn't been the cause of the government to have this situation, Ghanaians going through these difficulties. And so the government is working day and night to ensure that we get out of this situation. And I am very confident that the new Patriotic Party will devise the solution and will soon get out of it. And the EIU report subsequently will not be as this. And I take it that this is an advice. We have to work very hard, go to the very length, make contact with voters, do the needful, and we'll come with ideas, programs that will shape the well-meaning of Ghanaians, and not just to throw in tantrums and propaganda.
What is your own research telling you? You are the director of research. I'm sure you've done, your research into your party's prospect. What is it pointing to? Because EIU says, from the look of things, it's not yours. But you say they may be wrong. What is your research telling you?
Today, as we speak, is 21st of August 2023, isn't it? We are going to go into the elections, God's willing, in December 7, 2024. There will be overturns. The new Patriotic Party will overcome this situation. Here is saying that the challenges has to do with the economy and some governance style. What else do you expect from the government? And the government works every day and night to ensure that we develop programs to transform Ghana's development. That the government has not rested. And so I will not solely rely on the EIU report. And my brother, let me tell you, before the 2016 election, the EIU were coming out with their usual baseline reports, but we were not taken aback. We worked hard, and we're saying that, yes, these reports are supposed to advise us. We'll take it on and work hard and win the December 7, 2024 election. With respect to parties' internal research, it's not everything we put out there for public consumption. As and when we will do that. But I can assure you that victory awaits us in December 7, 2024. It demands hard work. We are ready to work harder and harder to retain power.
So as we speak, you haven't done any research about your prospect, right?
That's not what I said. I said that what we do as a party in terms of going around, seeking views, taking concerns, putting them together, helps us to restructure the way we plan.
Okay.
And the party is going to put together activity that will ensure that we'll win majority of presidential votes and majority of parliamentary seats to change the dynamics. You've seen how we are conducting our internal elections. It's not out of place. Leadership is informed by concerns from the base, and we are a listening leadership, and we are ensuring that everything we have to do will meet the aspirations of our stakeholders, and we are working towards that.
All right. Grateful, stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asante. He is a political scientist at the University of Ghana. Doc, grateful for joining us here.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you?
I'm well, and I hope you're well too.
I'm very well.
Okay. Looking at the state of the economy, the NDC has its own flag bearer. The NPP is going to elect, they are going to choose 5 out of the 10. What do you think should be the focal point for the NPP delegate in choosing someone they know is going to go against someone like John Mahama?
One, they need a candidate who appeals to the rank and file of the party in the first place, and that person, by extension, is also well received by Ghanaians. We need that type of candidate. that candidate will be in a position to pool votes to them. And you and I know that in elections, the numbers are very critical. And one vote will move a candidate, somebody from a position of a candidate to what? A president. And the same thing is extended to what? A parliamentary candidate to what? An MP. So aside that, you need somebody who has little baggage, little or no baggage. Why am I saying this? Because if you elect somebody with a baggage, one, you will not be able to do campaign meaningfully because your opponent will dwell on that and then develop messages that will always leave you to be answering questions why he or she is undertaking campaign effectively. So you try to have people with little or less baggage, little or no baggage, so as to be able to plan so that whenever they develop anything against that person, you have what it takes to respond to that. You need somebody also who is well abreast with the problems of this country, not only the problems of the NPP, but the problems of this country, so that the person has a superior understanding of the issues and has solutions to the problem. You don't want to put in any ordinary person just because he's a member of your party and all that. But you would need people who have what it takes to be able to understand the dynamics within the country's problems, and then they have the wherewithal to address the problems head on. Besides that, you also need somebody who has whose vision go beyond the party NPP into what? The country at large and even beyond. That person becomes the rallying point behind all the political actors within the political space of Ghana. And the last aspect is that you also want somebody who is marketable and can rub shoulders with any other flag bearer who emerged from the other political party. So it's a whole lot of a tall order that the party needs to go through without pandering to issues such as what? Ethnicity, that this person, the bulk of the people believe that he belongs to this ethnic group. For that matter, we want to vote along that line. Issue of loyalty is important, but we want somebody who has what? Proven track record and can deliver. Competence is critical because the person can be as loyal as your mother or your wife to you. But if the person is not competent, I'm afraid you are wasting your time, because at the end of the day, election is about what? A contest of what? Ideas and what? Referendum of your work. And the work here, we are talking about your record and your actions and all that. So it's a huge tax on the shoulders of the delegates, which they have to discharge very creditably.
But amongst the 10, don't they all have these qualities you're talking about? I mean, be somebody marketable, have vision beyond the party, and someone who can really, compete with the opposition party.
All of them, I must say that they have at least some of these qualities, but some have more than others, and that is where the difference comes in. You have some who have wealth of experience, they are knowledgeable, they have solutions, and they have, what it takes to be able to lead a party like this and then contest for election within the year 2024. And there are people like that. The baseline, they all meet the requirements, but on specific terms, some have more than others. And that is how the whole thing is going to be. Okay.
Now, I mean, several reports, and if you look at the general populace, the reaction from the general populace, it's sought to say that, I'll point to the fact that the NPP is not likely to retain the seat. But the NPP party itself is confident that because no election is the same, I mean, the director of research and elections was telling me this morning that because no election is the same, and then they are confident of turning the economy around, they will be able, they will win the 2024 election. From your own, analysis of the situation of the country, does it look like it?
This is $1 million question. The issue is that it's early days yet, and for you to be able to speak and speak authoritatively on this matter, you should hit the ground and pick some data to be able to convince yourself that this is the situation. I haven't done that, but I can infer and look at existing literature and then make use of them and then give some commentary relative to that without necessarily sticking my neck out as to who will win and all that. Yes. If you look at NPP, the answer that the party's research director gave you is nothing but what to expect from a political party. They will not tell you they are going to lose. Every party is in to win. It follows from the rational choice theory and all that. So that we can understand. But the real issue is that we have to address our minds to are the following. One, for you to win election in this country convincingly, the economy is the number one priority of voters, irrespective of party ideology, irrespective of party tradition, irrespective of wherever they find themselves and their groups and all that. The economy is key to them. They want somebody, or they want a government for that matter, who will be able to address the economic challenges of the country and create a means of livelihood for them. Failure to which, I'm afraid, you are going to incur the wrath of voters. This is going to be a daunting task for the NPP relative to the variable I'm talking about the economy. Because, yes, we have seen how the party has mismanaged the economy to the extent that we are in IMF and the rest of them, irrespective of the fact that they are trying to defend in a defending act that they attribute it to the forces of Russian Ukraine war and the rest of them, which that argument you and I know that cannot hold water because their own deeds have also plunged us into this direction. But that aside, you realize that the economy is critical. Even if they fix the economy today and then we go to the elections, the economy is on the right footing. The question, the $1 million question to them is that are they the one who did it or it is the hand of the IMF and all that? This is a difficult question for them to answer. Because if they were the one who did it, they wouldn't have gone to the IMF in the first place. And the voters always want to see if a political party will be able to address that problem. So that is going to be a big challenge for them as far as the economic variable is concerned. Two, the issue of infrastructure development also occupy the attention of voters when they are voting. They want to have infrastructure development in their constituencies. And if you look at the directive principle of state policy, it affirms that infrastructure must be developed in every aspect of the country so that every portion of the country will have its fair share of that type of development. In this difficult situation we find ourselves economically, is it the case that the MPP will be able to deliver infrastructure development to the people around this time, up before the election? That's a difficult one, because where are the resources to push this thing? It's going to be difficult, and that will always be used. The things that NPP will not be able to do, the opposition, it will serve as raw materials for building campaign messages against them. And so that is another difficulty for them. Apart from that, issue of corruption is a critical index of measuring voter choices in this country. The corruption fight has been difficult for the government, and we have seen a lot of examples in the second tenure. And if you look at Transparency International report, you and I have no doubt in our mind that the government has not been able to manage corruption well, and that is why we are where we are. We are not doing well. So all these things will also feature, and it will be part of the calculation of voters in deciding who to give their mandate to. Then you move to the issue of, rule of law. Is it the case that Ghana, there exists rule of law with a component of equality before the law and due process? Are the two working the way they ought to be? And these are some of the considerations. and then they move on to look at what the health, education, and the rest of them are to issue of transparency, accountability. So it's a whole tall order. And all these things, if you look at the current happening, it's going to be difficult for the party to defend some of these things and articulate their views clearly and navigating the process so as to make sure that they win the sympathy of Ghanaians and then they are retained. It's a difficult one, but as I've said, I've not hit the ground to pick data to speak with my chest out, saying that it is this party that will lead and this party that will take trail at the end of the day. I'll hold my fire for now, and then we'll look at it from a more qualitative perspective. And later, when we get the quantitative data, we can make more sense of what's happening.
So in the face of all of these that you've enumerated and the challenges that confront the nation, who amongst the 10, can really bring the party together, face the nation and say, well, even if we are not able to turn the corner, count on me and I'll be able to do it?
That's another difficult one. Research should be able to prove this, but I've not gone to the field. But I can also look at it from the same perspective as I've discussed the earlier one. If you look at the 10, I can say without fear of contradiction that they are men of substance and they have what it takes to lead the party. But of course, some have more than others in terms of the qualities of leadership that we require for this country. I can say that looking at them, I believe that the first 5, you can have people like Kwatie Japo featuring strongly. This is somebody who has worked with a whole vast of experience from the New York bank, and then from his position within the party, he has demonstrated beyond reproach that he is a man of wit and competence, and have what it takes to lead a society such as Ghana with a wealth of history and guiding him to be able to be a good leader for the party if the party vote for him on that day. So it's a material worth considering, and I believe, I have no doubt in my mind that he can also be part of the 5 that will be selected for the grand finale. Alan Chemating has also is somebody who has what it takes to lead this country, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will also feature within the 5. He's a man who has served his country very well. He's without, there is nothing that you can say against him in terms of corruption. He has worked and then demonstrated his competence in the area of innovation. Remember the issue of what Friday wear and a lot of things that he did in the industry. They are there for the world to see. He has a lot of ideas, and he has what it takes to be part of the 5. Okay. If you look at Bawumia, there's no doubt in my mind that irrespective of politics, which people have bastardized him as somebody who is incompetent and all that, I have a different view. That yes, he's competent, he has ideas, but the bigger question for him is that in spite of all his economic ideas and all that, how far we have arrived in terms of the economy today is a question, $1 million question that awaits him and that of Alan Chemating, who have been part and parcel of the economic system of this country. But I'm sure that they have what it takes to be able to explain this. But Bawumia, I have no doubt in my mind that he's solid and he's good and he can lead the country. Kennedy Japan is a grassroots man, and he appeals to the masses, the rank and file. He has what it takes because he has demonstrated as a single individual within the business world that he is successful and continue to be successful. He's a man who speaks practical of issues, and then he's also a darling boy of the party. So I have no doubt that he will also feature in the party's 5 people who will be selected on 26. The next person that I also believe that he will also feature in there is Mr. Kwabre Ejapong. Ejapong has been a very serious party man. He has served the party through thick and thin. He has all the experience from the time that they lost power in 1979 up to the time Kufuor gained power, and then his position as somebody close to the president, he acquitted himself so well, and then he did his best to serve his country and continue to do. He is a known person within the NPP fraternity, and I have no doubt that he will be a good material if the party also selects him. So for me, from where I sit, without hitting the ground for research and all these things, if you look at the issues from the information I take and then the literature and the rest of them, my analysis is that I will, pin down this five, Alan Chamating, Baumia, Kennedy Japong, and Kwabre Japong as five who will definitely feature. And then we go to the last header for them to whittle the whole figure to one. And that is the crux of the matter.
Interesting. All right. So that is for NPP delegates. I mean, Dr. has presented as five: Boache Jakon, Alan Chamating, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, Kennedy Japon, Kwabene Japon. So that is what he thinks, and he's giving, the things that should guide you in this election. But when the NPP is done, it has to think then about uniting the party, about how the party will be united to go into 2024 to face John Mahama. Who amongst these five can really unite the party?
If you look at Boache Jack, I'll take them individually.
Okay.
He's a unifier. If you look at his demeanor, his actions, and he's a very strong man on the ground.
Okay.
His no is no, and yes is yes. Yes. In other words, he's very firm. And the party needs such a person to be able to see wrongs that have been committed against certain people, or be able to pick up the pieces and then bring everybody to board. Boache Jack has that quality. Alan Chamating is also in that direction, in that bracket. He is a faithful servant of the party. He has lived all his life working with his heart and with all his might for the party. He's somebody that people listen to in terms of deliberation discussions within the party. So Alan has what it takes. Baumia is another fantastic man who can also lead the party. Even though he joined quite late, but I tell you that he has endeared himself to the hearts of many within the party. And then when he speaks, people will listen. Kennedy Japon, fantastic. He can do this thing with ease by bringing all the party people who are affected one way or the other and disgruntled together. And so is what Kwabre Japon, who the party see as a rallying point and all that. They all can do that. But the way and manner they can handle this is where the distinction will come as to who will be able to do it best. But I believe that the party over the years have worked with these people one-on-one, and they know from their records, from their engagement, from their activities that this particular person will be able to do. That one, I will not be able to pinpoint the exact person who will be able to do that. All of them have the qualities, but I tell you, the parties don't underestimate their capacity. They will be able to pinpoint out of the people who I have mentioned, one who will be the rallying point behind any peaceful process to unite the party. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever in this regard.
Let's look at the campaigning so far. Do you get the impression that it's been a bit, outside of clean, such that it will take more to unite the forces after the election?
Campaigns are always riddled with problems, and I'm not surprised that the NPP, through this process, confirm my thoughts and what I have read over the years. But it's early days yet. If you look at the way it started, and then people started talking, now you realize that the tempo has gone down, and they are now coming back to base to realize some of the calls by the public to the extent that they have told them that, look, if you continue on this tangent, at the end of the day, you are going to what? Destroy each one of you who has the potential to lead the party. And when it comes to what? Repackaging that person at the end, who has won the election, it becomes so difficult. So I'm sure that coup heads are prevailing now. They have learned from the public that if they intend to what? Undertake character assassination of each one, they will end up destroying all of themselves. And that whoever will emerge victorious, it will be difficult to market that person. So you realize that at the tail end, when we are getting to the election, they've toned down in terms of their attacks, in terms of the way they handle issues. We saw from the initial stages where they were attacking each other, they were bringing out certain issues which some of us feel that they are unnecessary. They are going to be raw material for campaign against them. They brought all those things out. They were also in a habit of, attacking the current government about what its performance and the difficulties that the government finds itself and all that. You realize that these were some of the naive positions that they took, let me put it that way, because you don't attack the record of your party and then rest in the hope that you are going to stand on it to campaign. It's going to be difficult. Even if you want to handle that, you want to be a bit tactical in such a way that you can always have an exit route to run away from or through. That did not, happen initially. You saw them, instead of also giving out their real message, some of them took to what? Taking people on without telling us what they want to do. Some of them, their messages were nothing but also repetitive, and then telling us one thing that we know already and all that, and it didn't point to something meaningful that you and I can put our fingers on. But gradually, as we are getting to the die days, you realize that their campaigns are gradually being shaped by the public opinion that is impinging upon their activities. You see them more a little decorous now, and let me also be fair to the party that it announced. I don't know whether that group has been put in office and they are working. They announced that they are going to have an ethics committee that is going to look at the campaign and all that. If it exists, then I believe that it is part of the results that we are seeing, that they appear to be measured and tempered with regard to the way they go about the campaign and all that. So for now, it's gradually taking shape, and then you see the issues. People are taking people on, and then making sure that it is a point of what? Policy, it is a point of what? Ideas, and it's a point of loyalty to the party and how well you serve your party and the rest of them. These are the issues that should really occupy the attention of those who really want to campaign. You want to see the problems of the party, and by extension, the problems of the country, and that you want to develop message around, and then you have what? Questions answered in that regard. You want to also see a party's record and how far you can take it to campaign meaningfully to be able to win power. You want to see your track record and how it will going to impact on the work that you are going to do as a leader if you are voted at the end of the day. So we are seeing that. But it is my hope and prayer that they will be able to maintain the status quo as we are getting to the dying end of the period,
of the game.
So that the political terrain doesn't get bastardized and change abruptly. Any deviation of that nature will really affect their chances. Of course, it will affect some people more than others. So I believe that they need to look at this direction and look at it critically.
The Party Director of Elections is with us, Mr. Evans Namako. So how's the ethics committee coming up? Mr. Namako? Evans Namako is, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Am I with you?
Yeah. So I wanted to find out from you how the ethics committee is coming up.
Well, thank you. And let me say good morning to Dr. Asante. I've listened to him. I'm happy that he's been able to tell us that he's not gone to the field yet to pick qualitative data to support some of the issues running around. But the party is oblivious of these facts. At the moment, we are conducting our internal elections. When we are done, when we have our presidential candidates, we will draw the balance sheet. We draw the balance sheet between the NDC's presidential candidate, Mr. Mahama, and the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate. So we will get there. But I appreciate those issues he has brought forth. On the issue of the campaign style and management of the various presidential candidates, the party, after adopting the Elections Committee's report or the Vetting Committee report, reminded the presidential aspirant and the party of the code of conduct that has been put together by the National Executive Committee. So the party has the chairman of the Council of Elders, Honorable Hackman Owusu-Agyemang, as a member of the committee, the chairman of the Legal and Constitutional Committee, eminent lawyer, Mr. Frank Davis, and the general secretary of the party, lawyer Kudia, as the three-member committee to coordinate the conduct and ensure full compliance of the code of conduct. And I think that after successive engagement with the presidential aspirants and their agents by the Elections Committee and other stakeholders, we've all come to the conclusion that we need to conduct an exercise that is that will meet the party's set rules, our constitution, our rules of engagement for the conduct of these primaries. At the end of the day, the New Patriotic Party is going to submit and sponsor a presidential candidate who is going to be the next president. We are mindful of the terrain, the contours of the democratic landscape, and I will once again assure you and viewers that the New Patriotic Party is ready to do the needful to conduct campaign towards the 2024 elections and come out victorious. After our internal elections, we will draw the balance sheet. And I am convinced and confident
but Mr. Namago, the viewers, I mean, if you go by the feeling of the populace, they are not really concerned about, you saying that you would win. They are concerned about their pockets and how living is for them. That's their concern. Whether you win or lose is not their problem.
So I've said that we are not oblivious of that fact, that the economy will have to be improved, that issues of security will have to be taken care of, that workers will have to be paid, that you have electricity and you have fuel, that you go out to the market and you are able to buy consumables and live a life of a human being. The party is aware of that, the government is aware of that. That's why we will put our support behind the government to develop programs that will take us from the challenges we are going through. Depending on where you sit, you appreciate it or otherwise. But at the end of the day, we must make life meaningful for all Ghanaians. And that is what the government is working towards. I mean, I said that I'm happy. Doc has mentioned issue of economy, issue of corruption, infrastructure, rule of law, and all that. I'm also saying that issue of security is a concern, employment is concern, workers' salaries are issues of concern to the government and to the party. And we'll do things that will make sure that we enhance the living standards of people.
Okay. So the party wants to wait after the election, then they will support the government to come up with programs to deal with the challenges of the economy, or it's something you're doing now?
I'm surprised about this question you are putting out. The government works every day.
No, I'm asking based on the response you gave me.
Don't get it wrong and don't put out.
No. I mean, your response was that the party will work hard to support the government to come up with policies to turn around the economy after the election. I'm asking that, is that not something you're doing now? You're waiting for the election before you do it? That was just yeah.
The government is operational. It's working day and night. I said that as a party, we are concentrating on our internal election. It doesn't mean that the government has halted its activities. I said that the party is also supporting the government to fashion out programs and policies that will transform the challenges that we are going through, to the extent that the good people of Ghana will be convinced that when we've gotten to December 2024, the story will be different as being told now by Dr. Santi. And I said, I'm happy that he said he has not hit the grounds to pick qualitative data, but appreciate this challenge. And I'm saying that we are not oblivious of that fact. And we will work hard to overturn the situation. When the party took over in 2016, things were not just as easy as that. But the party put together a team that transformed it. And I'm saying that there's going to be turnaround of these challenges we are going through. And I'm saying also that when we are done with our internal elections, when we have selected our presidential candidate, we will draw the balance sheet between the NPP's presidential candidate and Mr. John Mahama, who has been around since 2012 to 2016. We've known him. And as we speak, the New Patriotic Party keeps on coming up with programs and policies. Let the NDC also put forth policies that will transform Ghana. Where are the alternatives? And so that's what I'm talking about.
So what's the plan of healing the party after the special delegate?
The New Patriotic Party has done this before. We went into the 2007 presidential primaries. Our Council of Elders are ready to engage all stakeholders. And I can tell you, even before this process will come to an end, the continuous engagement by the Elections Committee and the presidential candidates and their agents have given the party enough hope that we are ready to go through this process. If you've seen our guidelines for the conduct of this special electoral college, it tells a lot. And it just didn't come from heaven. It is something that has been fashioned out by engagement with all key stakeholders, i.e. the Ghana Police Service, the Electoral Commission, the presidential aspirant, and the party's Presidential Elections Committee. And so we continue to work hand in hand, and we do things that will put us in the light and make sure that the people will have the confidence in us to win 2024 elections.
All right. Now, you were talking about the fact that after this election, you draw the balance sheet between the NPP, your candidate, and Mr. John Mahama. Now, you're asking for alternatives, which is quite good. Well, we're waiting for the alternatives to see where and how we even go about, questioning both of you. But you're going to draw the balance sheet between someone who left you, the exchange rate around 4. Now it's above 9. How are you looking at convincing the Ghanaian that your candidate is the best one compared to someone who left the exchange rate, for example, at 4?
Okay, so my brother, at this stage, we are not going to give the NDC or the opponent the parameters within which we draw those lines. And if you want us to discuss the issue of the exchange rate, forest has gone up. We need to look at the consumption patterns of the Ghanaian, and we need to look at what is running around the world. I mean, for the first time in UK, their inflation had gone up. Most economies have suffered post-COVID and within this Russia-Ukraine. And Dr. Asante said that argument cannot hold water. And I'm saying that if you sit at where you need to put together all these figures, you appreciate it. And I'm saying even in these difficulties, workers have had to be paid on monthly basis. We have had to have electricity running. We've not run out of fuel. At least we have some consumables. Things are tough though, but the government is working hard to ensure that we overturn them. It is not getting any easy any day, but we need to work hard and ensure that we have programs that will take us out of this quagmire. And so I appreciate them. But I'm saying that when we have settled on our candidate, we will draw the balance sheet.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this balance sheet, really, because then the Ghanaian will question that you've done well to make fuel available to us in this difficult time. I mean, we have power, but then the question will be our purchasing ability. These are not, I mean, the price of fuel is going up day in, day out. And so the Ghanaian will question that, the price of fuel, the price of electricity, and all of that, you know. So we're really waiting for that balance sheet and how you convince us that, well, even though prices, the price of petrol is high, but you have to look at me making it available to you, you know. So it'll be an interesting debate going into 2024. But I'm really waiting for that one to see how it goes. So this Saturday, what are the procedures? I mean, what are the processes for this special Congress that's coming up?
Well, thank you. So just I'll keep you in that suspense, but I'll come along with you in assessing our candidate as against the NDC's known presidential candidate, whom we've defeated in two elections, 2016 and 2020. And we are going to do the same in 2024. We know how to do it. Back to the issue of our special electoral college that comes up Saturday. The party in each of the regional centers have created voting centers that will be manned by the Electoral Commission's regional directors. It commences at 9 a.m. and will close at 13 hours, that is 1 p.m. After which the EC will do the counting and announce results at all the regional centers and transmit the results to the EC's headquarters for collation. There will also be another voting center at the party headquarters to take care of the Council of Elders, our external branch, delegates, our wings, our National Executive Committee, our ministers of state who are not MPs. And at the regional level, we will have the regional representation to Council of Elders, our foundation members, our regional executive committee members, our members of parliament, and regional ministers voting at the regional level. In all, we have a total of 958 delegates voting across the regions and the nation. The party's constitution is clear that where there are more than 5 of them, these are the people who have to vote to sieve the number to 5. So we have the National Council members, the National Executive Committee members, the Regional Executive Committee, MPs, ministers who are card-bearing members. Our external branch, 27 of them are bringing 3 delegates each. Our wings are having to bring 3 delegates. Our wings include the youth, the women, and the national wing will bring 3 delegates each. All our Council of Elders are delegates to this special electoral college. And so that is how the party's constitution, Article 1319, defines those who are delegates to this special electoral college. And so having met with the presidential candidates and their agents, the Electoral Commission and the Ghana Police Service, all issues bordering on security will be handled by the Ghana Police Service. The party has handed over, as determined by our rules of engagement, issues of the conduct of the elections in the hands of the EC. We have a register of these people, a photo album given to all the aspirants, they have them. And the EC will, on the 26th, Saturday ahead of us, use the register. Candidates will have their agents, 2 each accredited, 1 at a time, stationed at the polling station. to monitor the process. And when we are done, each will be given a copy of the result sheet. And there are do's and don'ts in these elections. Even though this election is being done by the EC, the participants are senior party members, we are still reminding them that nobody should go in there with anything that will take a picture or photo of where the person would have voted, and nobody will also do anything that will show that where anybody voted is being determined. We are doing this between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. And so the EC is in charge of that. When the election process are all done, the ballot papers will be put into tamper-proof envelope, sealed in the ballot box. All candidates are allowed to put their personal seals on all the ballot boxes. The ballot boxes will be transported to the EC headquarters in Accra for safekeeping. I think when this is done, the results will finally be declared at the EC, the party headquarters at Asalam Dam. And so we are hoping that for all that the prospective candidates have done in terms of being presidential candidates, visiting party constituencies, meeting with polling station executives, electoral coordinators, constituency executives, and other stakeholders. The kind of energy, excitement that they brought to the base, I think is very commending. And we must say that in all this, you said the battle has been the loss. They've been traveling around the country with their vehicles, with their team and all that. And thankfully, issues of accident have been out. We continue to thank God and commit them to the hands of the Lord Almighty, that as we prepare, go into Saturday's program, we are still protected by the Almighty.
Okay. But the collation and announcement results will be happening at the polling station before they are transported to the national office, right?
Yes, the results once it is 1 p.m. and no polling station presiding officer will open the ballot until it is 1 o'clock and where the delegates have all cast their votes.
Okay.
So after 1 o'clock, when that is done, it will be counted and then the results sheet will be filled, announced at that voting center. And then agent giving copies of the result sheet, and all results will then be transmitted electronically to the EC's collation center in Accra. Okay. When the EC is done with the collation at their headquarters, they will move to the party's headquarters at Salam Dam to announce the final results for us to know who the first 5 are for the next round of elections in November 4, 2023.
Mr. Evans, I'm grateful to you for the education you've given us this morning. All the best.
My pleasure.
And Dr. Kwame Asante also joined us. I'm grateful to you too for joining us with your perspectives. This is still the AM show. We have more to come your way. Do stay with us. We will be right back.